relation to like marriage and stuff like that, because like they always say, right, you have to marry the one in quotes. So I guess the question here we're here to ask is there a the one? Is there a soulmate for everyone? Is there like a match made, in the high heavens for each and every person?
Yeah.
A lot of people would argue yes. Some people would argue no. But I think a lot of these things that we've already talked about kind of come into play, like
Yeah,
relationship dynamics and stuff like that.
yeah.
Nagina, what do you think? Start us off. Is there the
I
one?
mean,
What do you think?
me, because obviously I'm Muslim, so Islamically, yes, I do believe there is the one because
What you
it's
mean
like
Islamically?
Islamically, it's written that your soulmate's actually written before you enter this world,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah, 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 okay,
and
yeah.
and
Come on,
Because that's different from the like common understanding. I just wanted to
yeah.
like understand
So
what she
they
meant by.
say that your soulmate's already written before you actually enter this world, and if you do meet your soulmate in this world, you will actually live like a very happy life. And if you don't meet your soulmate and you get married to someone else, then you will live a very miserable life. So I believe there is a
Wow.
soulmate, but it purely depends on your own choices, what choices you make in life. Like you could have missed the opportunity of marrying your soulmate depending on certain
Hmm.
circumstances. And then, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I
so
personally
Hmm.
just believe that there is the one.
so
Okay.
ideally, everyone would want to end up with their soulmates. But from what you've just said, how would you know that that
Yeah.
person is your soulmate then?
I mean, I think it's just a gamble because you never know. You would never know if that person's actually your soulmate unless you actually
Mhm.
get married to them and you
Okay, let
do.
me let me let me say something controversial then,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
a lot of times, yeah, people only want to marry within their tribe or within their religion, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I've seen, a lot of Muslim guys. Sometimes they get married to, non-Muslim girls, but
Yeah.
oftentimes they get married to Muslim girls. But most
Hmm.
Muslim girls only really get married to Muslim guys that I've seen. So if
Hmm.
we're not really looking far and wide, then how are you supposed to find this soulmate? Like for just not like any tribe, any religion. Do you know what I'm saying? Like your soulmate could be in fucking Korea or something, right?
Hmm.
Like how are
Yeah.
you supposed to know? So if we're only looking within a certain area or a certain religion, a certain tribe, and we're like, oh,
Uh-huh.
there is a soulmate for sure, but I'm only going to look here and find. But but we don't know though.
That's
Yeah.
right. I think what you're saying is a valid point, definitely. But I
Hmm.
don't know. You said looking. There's sometimes you don't even have to be looking and someone just enters your life and you're like, okay, this is the
True.
right
True.
person for me. And then you just go ahead, etc., get married, whatnot. But I feel like looking is probably the wrong word. I feel like if anything happens, it will naturally happen. Unless obviously you're looking for an arranged marriage, then you're definitely going to be out looking for people and seeing, oh, is this person right for me or not? But I personally believe like the natural way, if someone's going to enter your life, it will just happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, what you say? I still
I
have a lot to say, by the way, but go on,
I
go
have
on.
a lot to say as well, actually.
I go off,
Okay,
go off, go off.
okay. So for me, I think we need to first preference what we mean by the one. Because if like we're talking about someone you fall in love with who is perfect for you and whom you will never find again in the future, I don't necessarily believe that, like at least on a wide enough scale, I don't believe that's like a practical concept. I actually think, this might even be
Hmm.
controversial, I don't know, but I think that concept is actually kind of dangerous, to be fair. Like,
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people enter marriages or relationships with the expectation that it's going to be seamless because they found a soulmate, in quotes, who is perfect for them, right? But in reality, like passionate love, which is what most people base this soulmate thing on, it kind of fades. It fades very quickly in a marriage anyway. And I'm
Hmm.
assuming this is a marriage, by the way, not just a
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's something people call compassionate love, which is obviously working through your problems and nurturing your marriage and whatnot. Like I feel like if people were willing to put in all the sacrifices and forgiveness and teamwork that goes into a successful marriage, then that has a bigger prospect of working. So in a sense, you don't necessarily find the one in the way like movies make it out to be. But I mean, because I mean, most people would have been in multiple relationships before settling and probably thought they found the one each time. But I do think you can work towards like building a relationship with someone who can be your one, even if it's not the one that all these movies make it out to seem. So with that in mind, I also think you can have multiple the ones or whatever. Because there's many people in happy
The
relationships
man
who would
said the
accept.
three. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like I said, there's many people in
He's
happy
allowed four
relationships.
wives.
Exactly, there's that too. But like, yeah, many people in happy relationships who would acknowledge that even though they have a partner right now, they may have an ex in their life who they loved more than the actual partner. And for me, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't love your partner or you're not happy in your current relationship. But like, you can still love your ex more
I
than
don't
your
agree with
current
that.
partner.
I don't agree with that.
Why?
That's a
If you
huge
love
problem.
someone more.
You cannot love your ex more than your current. That's a
Because
huge
then you
problem.
wouldn't even get
Nah,
married.
you,
Yeah.
nah, you
It's a
definitely can.
huge problem.
Because
Oh, you
I
can't.
actually
You
looked this up.
shouldn't.
No, but you definitely can. Like you can,
Can't.
because
You
obviously
should.
there's many reasons why you may love. If you like you had a partner before and then your partner passes away and you get married again, like you may not necessarily love your new partner
That's
as much as you
different.
loved your old partner, but you can
Yeah,
still
that's
love your new
different.
partner.
But they're dead, so that's different.
No, but it can be different because to say you can't do it means you can't do it. Like it's either black and white, but you can definitely do it. That's what I'm trying to say. You can definitely do it,
I
right?
mean, wouldn't that just cause so much comparison and
Yeah,
it
like
cause a lot of
No,
issues in the
it doesn't have
relationships as
to.
well?
Like honestly, don't think it has to because
I mean,
this
just don't
cons.
get married if that's the case. Because if you don't love your
facts.
partner
If you're
enough
not ready,
to be
yeah,
No,
with
like
but
them, you would have just
but yeah,
married your ex.
no, but this is something different. I'm not saying you don't love your partner. I'm saying you
mhm.
can love your ex more than you love your current partner. That definitely happens. And I've even
Nah.
looked. I looked it up before.
No, no, no. I'm
I
not saying
actually
it doesn't
looked it up.
happen. It's
Yeah, but
possible and you can, but you
yeah,
shouldn't do that.
yeah, you shouldn't. Definitely
So
not.
so okay. So you guys are saying
Very unhealthy.
if you loved your ex, and there's many
Yeah,
reasons why people break up, right? You
yeah,
can love your ex, but that ex can be toxic as fuck for you. We can acknowledge that, right?
Hmm.
yes.
Okay. So you're telling me that you should force a marriage with someone that you know is terrible for you because you love them. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
don't marry them,
No, no, no,
but
So what are
no.
wait
you
until
saying?
you get over them
Yes.
before you marry someone else. Because
Fact.
if you're in a new marriage thinking about your ex, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No. Okay, you guys, I think you guys are misunderstanding what I'm saying. Do you
Now I
think,
get
okay,
exactly what you're saying.
let me phrase it differently, or let me ask you a question then. Do you think if you've loved someone
Mm-hmm.
for like 10 years, or you've been in a marriage for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and your partner passes away, and then you find someone, let's say
Mm-hmm.
5 years later, and
Mm-hmm.
you genuinely fall in love with that person, are
Mm-hmm.
you saying just because you fall in love with this person, that means you can know? Okay, I guess there's a different way to phrase this. Do you think you can love two people at once? I think that's maybe the better way to phrase this.
I mean, I've seen it. It's possible, but I feel like each type of love is different. Like the way you love your mom is
Exactly.
different. The way
No,
you
no,
love
not
your
even
ex
your
is
mom. Two
different too.
partners at once. Can you
Yeah.
love two partners at once? Two
No, I'm
people at
saying
once.
yes, you can maybe. Yeah, you can, but obviously for each person you have a different type of love. If you love them both the same, then you'd only be in love with one person.
Exactly, and
But
that's what I'm trying to get
I
at.
feel like the
Like
love
you can
won't
definitely
be the
love two
same.
people at once.
It won't be the same though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It won't be the same. And I'm saying the one that was in your past, you can love more than your current one. Like even if it's a different kind of love, or maybe you
Then
prefer
why
that
does it
kind of
have to
love. I
be
don't know.
more or less?
It doesn't have to be, but I'm
Like,
saying it's possible. This is not even the main point I'm even trying to make.
It's not even
Like
the
you
point.
guys have
Yeah,
just
yeah, it's not even the main point. I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
on.
like, you guys have just got this one aspects of, and you guys have really acknowledged that it's possible to love multiple people. So I don't know why like we're going on about this, but
I get into the main beef. Get into the one. Go
I can't even remember where I was anymore.
on.
Well, I'll just summarize, man. I think I have more of an issue with like the terminology of the one because I think like people go into relationships with unrealistic expectations that because you found your soulmate or someone that you connect with, then things are gonna be easy, and that's not necessarily the case because even if you find someone that you connect with a lot, like there's still a lot of work that goes into making a marriage or a relationship work. So, and at the same time, I won't rule out the one in the way Nagina said at the beginning, like there's just someone that was pre-made for you. I won't rule that out, but I do think it's a very small proportion of the population that ever find that person. So I might
Mhm.
as well rule it out. It's just not like realistic enough
it's a
on a wide.
fantasy.
Sorry?
Like practically, it's
Yeah,
a
practically
fantasy.
speaking. Yeah, practically speaking, it's a fantasy. So I think couples can work towards making their partners the one if they're realistic enough about the work that goes into having a successful marriage. But truthfully,
Mhm.
man, for me, like this terminology of the one, I wish people just stopped using it and all these movies stopped doing it because I feel like you need to experience relationships for what they are and put the work needed for it to be successful instead of having this fantasy idea of what the one looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Some people base their relationships off movies. Can you believe it? Honestly, I think it's so toxic.
Yeah,
Facts.
I mean, but this is part of the thing because we have this like this is the one almost every romantic movie you watch, like this shit comes
Yeah.
up. And this is the one thing, like, how many people do you know, friends, like your own personal friends, that they're in a relationship and then they be like, yo, I think she's the one, you know?
It's
Then two
never
months
happy days. There's
Oh,
always
I've
like
actually
some
met
sort of
one guy like
problem.
that though.
yeah, 2 months later they break up. I'm like, bro, like this shit ain't realistic. Yeah, okay.
Let me go off. But feel free to cut me off. Feel free to cut me
Mhm.
off. All right. Now here's the thing. Is there a one? Like, is there a match made for you? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. But there's no scientific proof. Therefore, we can just rule it out. I do believe there are definitely people more suited to each other than others,
Yeah.
which is mad because when you get married, you can always then meet another person that is not only penga, but like you can vibe easily with that. You guys
Yeah.
are definitely more suited
More
to each
suited,
other.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. But the problem is, too many people force it and they claim,
Mhm.
oh, this is my one. Because,
Mhm.
I mean, I'll be honest, everybody's different. Me personally, I like understanding, I like peace. You understand?
Mhm.
So, with a soulmate, it means you're mostly on the same page. Because I know these new niggas come in here be like, oh, no, we're opposites. Opposites attract. Nigga, you're not a magnet. That makes no sense. Yeah, I mean, so I have to call out society on this one as well because we live in a society where there's pressure on these
Mhm.
young girls to get married. There's pressure on them to want to have that dream wedding, fucking
Yeah, yeah.
Cinderella and whatever.
Mhm.
If you look
Mhm.
at shows like How I Met Your Mother, an outstanding show by the way, but
Mhm.
that's not really how it's go down in real
Yeah.
life. The
Yeah.
problem is because there's pressure on these girls in modern day society, it then forces them to overlook certain things that they want that they don't like and then claim this is my one. So after the marriage then starts and they'll be like, oh, he doesn't wash the dishes. This nigga never washed the dishes in the first place, but you were too busy because you guys were lip
Focusing on
syncing and
other
doing
things.
other things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, so that's part of the problem as well. Now, in addition to that, when you find your one or the one or the person you feel like, okay, this is the one for me, let me just call
Mhm.
out my ex for no reason. But listen, you have to like if you like somebody, yeah, when the relationship then starts or the marriage starts, you cannot now come to be like, oh, I don't like this about you. Can you like the dishes example? Because that defeats the purpose of finding your one. I mean,
Mhm.
like literally, like my ex, she was like, oh, true story, by the way. She was like,
Mhm.
oh, I started liking you because like, oh, you were like slightly mean and a bit of a dickhead. And I was like, okay, well, I wasn't trying to be that,
That's just
but
who you are, I
that's
think.
just I try my best every day. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, and then now the relationship starts, and you're like, oh, why aren't you nice to me? Why aren't you showing me public affection? And I'm like, nigga, but you
Yeah.
just said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, exactly. So you cannot now. That's a whole other conversation. Is when the relationship starts. For me though, for me personally, and it might sound a bit petty, but if you try and change things about the other person, even the simple things like, oh, show me public affection, or oh, wash the
Mhm.
dishes. Well, we weren't doing that before. Do you know what I mean? So if you're trying to change people, like small changes, then surely that's not your one. And I understand nothing is perfect in this life, but the things that you would have to adjust have to be very, very small. That's what dating is for. But the problem is when people start dating and they find out that they don't like certain things, they don't want to pull out because they've already started lipsing and doing other things. You hear
Mhm.
me? So that's part of the problem. So society is an issue for sure.
Mhm.
You have to try your best to be yourself in any build up to a relationship or marriage. Not that when
Yeah,
the thing
that's very
starts,
important, man.
exactly because the person you are at that time, I'll think that's who you are forever. And then we
Yeah.
get into a ship, and then all of a sudden, I don't know. I feel like if the one is not just physical, like, but there has to be a skill somewhere though. Does that mean that the person does everything the way it suits you? And if they don't, what if like it's one of those ones where like the person is like real close, maybe out of 10 qualities that you want, she's like
Mhm.
9. Like
Mhm.
then what? Are you going to then not agree and then find the 10? Or are you just going to be
Mhm.
content? You know what
Mhm.
I mean? So
Like, where do
I
you
don't
draw
know.
the line, right?
Where do you draw the line? Exactly. So I don't know. I feel like, in this society, y'all gotta stop acting like it's a movie. You know what I mean? Life is not like that.
I
Like,
think like even to add to that, right? When we mentioned like the 50% divorce rate earlier, how many of those do you think thought they were marrying the one at the point of marriage? Out of
Most of them.
100% of people, like most of them, right?
Yeah.
And then they still end up getting divorced. So like,
well,
I
that
don't
one's different. That
really
one's called just fucking kids. So that one's a whole other
that.
one.
I mean, you think kids cause divorce?
They could, yeah. Yeah.
It's a
But is that the main
possibility,
reason for
definitely.
divorce?
I
That's not the
mean,
main reason.
if you think about it, some parents like would want a better future for their kids, and they'd be like, "Oh, that my kids can't have a good future with my current spouse." So yeah, maybe that could cause divorce.
I feel like that's on you, bro. You kind of have to know if if your spouse is capable of raising your kids and then like before you got
No,
married.
obviously circumstances change, people change over time,
Oh yeah,
like
I guess so, yeah.
situations.
That's fair.
Okay.
Rose.
Now I was listening to Skills waffle as usual.
I'm waffling.
Yeah,
Rose, like I
Okay.
said,
this guy is not made for love at all,
It's not
man.
about being. What do you
okay,
mean
so I
made
want
for
to hear
love?
how he's
No,
gonna
I'm
tell
just
us.
saying let's not pretend. That's all I'm saying.
Personally, I kind of agree with you guys. I don't believe that there's the one.
Ah, we thank God.
Literally
Personally,
on the same page. Okay.
what I believe is that you build your relationship into you guys being the one for each other.
Yeah.
Personally,
Which is what I
Nah.
at the end of the day, guy, please, I beg.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We
I'm sorry.
heard you loud and clear.
I'm sorry.
We heard you loud and clear. We know that you're not a fan of these things, so just relax, man. Relax first.
Go on.
Like personally, I believe that you guys can build yourself because what is one of the things about relationships, one of the beauty about relationship is that like you guys help each other to grow. I know acknowledging that you have shortcomings, that things will not always be rosy, but deciding to put in the effort and saying that like even though like these things, and that's pretty much part of like what marriage vows emphasize on, that for better, for worse, for riches and health. I know, but don't get me wrong. Again, like just like Kamal emphasized, like a lot of marriages still end up in divorce. But like the main thing is that there's no the one, there's no special person that you come and say that, oh, this is the person that like, oh, was made for me and all of that. Like I just feel like it all boils down to having that mutually exclusive relationship where you guys actually do the work, put in the effort. I believe that the one that people always emphasize on is pretty much the effort that you guys put into that relationship. Nobody just comes and all of a sudden like this person is the one for you, and when you now get into the relationship, there's no effort, there's no zeal, there's no motivation. Everybody's just sitting back, just relaxing and everything, not putting in any effort into the relationship. So personally, I don't feel like there's the one for me. Because what if the person that you claim to be the one, because you know how they say people fall in love at first sight, people pray and believe that like, oh, they are spouses for them and all of that, and you're like, oh, you go ahead and set the P. What if you collect L? So what happened now? That means the one has become zero, man. So you went from one back to zero, man. So none of that, man. None of that. I don't believe
Wait,
there's
Rose.
the
Sorry.
one.
Let me rebuttal one of your points. So you said something about the one, and having to put in effort. Now, if you find one that you think is the one, it doesn't mean you don't have to put like there's still going to be effort because a relationship, anyways. But putting in effort is different from stress. I mean,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know what he meant though.
okay. I'm just clarifying.
This guy has been annoying for no reason.
No, I still have one more point. But Rule finish.
I think he's done.
Oh, it's okay. Now,
I need to go off on this skills guy,
Go
man,
on,
because
no.
if the world was left to skills, man, this guy put zero effort in relationship. Take.
No,
Bring me that pounded yam this morning.
I wouldn't do that, dude.
Guy, that's cap. That's absolutely
No, I
cap,
wouldn't
guy.
do that. Now listen, let me explain. Let me learn.
Explain.
I feel like my idea of a good relationship, I'm not saying there would not be effort, but there is no stress. That's the point. So that whole
Define
thing.
stress though. Do you mean like?
So wait,
Like,
yeah,
do you mean
exactly.
like you'd
Define
never be
stress.
stressed, or do you mean like in general you won't?
You mean like you never face any issues? There won't be any challenges at all.
There will be
Nothing's
challenges.
perfect.
Like, what do you mean first?
Yeah, there will be challenges. Nothing is perfect,
Yeah, that's
but
what-
like the challenges don't have to be like that deep. Like it's a marriage. You know, there are ones where like you see marriages and like the guy is like afraid to go home because like, oh, an argument is going to start. Like we can't
Okay,
be
yeah,
having
that's what I
that
thought you meant,
yeah,
so-
that stress, something like that.
Carry on.
I mean, so that whole thing, like Rose said, for example, building each other up for each other. That doesn't what does that don't make no sense because you're independent people coming together. So if you're building yourselves up for each other,
Skills, let me ask you a
Tetris,
question.
my nigga.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
Your current state in this life, is it not as a result of your conscious effort in addition to the efforts of the people around you?
Skills is about to
So
destroy you here.
now, can we conclude that these people have been part of your building process to exactly where you are?
Sure.
Case in point.
Nah, but that's cap because that's
Wait,
different.
nah, skills. Let's be real though. Like, are you saying that your partner is not gonna have any impact on how you grow? Because you're gonna get married at what? Let's say you get married at 28.
No, and I agree with you.
So,
No.
exactly. So what are you trying to
No,
say?
you're not.
I feel like the issue is his previous partner has just scarred him.
They're
That's
just
not
scarred.
what that is. Wait, let me learn.
Literally, I think that's what it is.
Skills is broken, bro. Skills is broken.
Now,
You're
this is
not.
how he is.
No, wait. When you're married and you start to live with each other, obviously you grow accustomed to each other. And I agree with that. That obviously has to happen. But you're not going in there to customize for them. That's not what it's just
you
happened
kind of have
naturally.
to though. Yeah, there's
You have
compromises
to
that have
go
to happen.
in as an independent individual first. You have to be able to organize. You have to know who you are before you go and start
You know
merging
who
with
you
other
are.
people. Yeah, before you start merging with other people. That's what I'm saying.
Skills like if you're moving into a house with someone you've never lived with before, and you guys are now like an item or whatever you guys want to phrase it like.
Mhm.
There's no way there aren't sacrifices and compromises that have to be had because these people are, like you said, you're two independent people.
Of
Exactly.
course,
So if you're two independent people trying to live as one, you're definitely gonna have to make some compromises here and there.
Yeah, no, I know, and I agree with you. But what I'm saying is,
Okay.
it's not. If you've known the person and it is in quotes the right person, it wouldn't then have to be suddenly like different. It wouldn't then have to be something like, oh wow, like you shouldn't be extremely shocked at anything you see. Is what I'm saying.
Actually, I'm curious.